Hi, I'm Chris Glover, the NDP critic for technology and innovation. Welcome to Tech Talks. Welcome to Tech Talks. Today we've got Stephen Lund from Toronto Global. Thank you for being here and welcome to Tech Talks, Stephen.
Thanks, Chris. Great to be here.
Okay, so I'm going to start off. I know a little bit about what you're doing, but I know you're from New Brunswick, and a friend of mine had a job working for the government of New Brunswick under McKenna. And his job was to phone CEOs of tech companies. And whenever he got a CEO on the phone, he could put the phone through to McKenna or to McKenna's second in command. And the idea was that they were trying to attract tech businesses into New Brunswick. And I understand you actually were the one that initiated that project. So tell me about that.
Well, in fact, if you go back in the 90s, New Brunswick and what they were doing on technology, the technology front was, world leading. They had a great telephone company that was world leading in infrastructure. And Frank McKenna, as premier, decided, he wanted to build the province as a tech center, and so he went out and attracted a lot of companies, and he was known to be very personable, picking up the phone, calling people directly, and quite frankly, did a great job. He's a great salesperson. He's a good friend of mine today, and so I spent the last 20 years between Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, kind of doing the same thing, building a tech industry. We attracted some of the biggest companies in the world.
So, what were some of the things that came out of that? That kind of just cold calling tech companies?
Well, I guess there's a couple of approaches. One, it's kind of a slower bureaucratic approach in terms of waiting for the perfect time and getting all your ducks in line. The other approach is you just do it, which is the camp I'm in. Never let perfection be the enemy of the very good. You've got a great team. You be highly professional, you know what you're doing, and then you just go after it. And I think we're seeing that today, in some of the results we've seen in the last few months, even here in Toronto. What might surprise you or may not is often the higher you go up in an organization, the easier it is. In other words, a lot of people are afraid to pick up the phone and call the CEO of the biggest company, but yet, because people don't do that, if you're the person that does that, often they'll take your call. And so it's a matter of just doing it. And if you think you've got a good story to tell, then tell your story.
Okay. And so what are some of the lessons for Ontario from this? Because one of the questions I'm asking in all of these tech talks is, how do we maintain the momentum and even build the momentum for our tech ecosystem? How do we attract investors, talent, and entrepreneurs to Ontario?
Sure. Well, there's actually several questions in there. I think if you look at the last number of months and have seen the companies that have come here in the tech sector, it's a pretty impressive list. DoorDash, Reddit, Twitter, Netflix, HCL, a big Indian company, Pinterest, Wayfair, Cloudflare, TikTok, and several others. It's a pretty amazing trend.
What is it that's attracting the businesses?
I think confidence. First of all, people expect the economy to take off over the next couple of years. There's a lot of pent-up demand. Secondly, I think Toronto is being known as a place for great talent. Third, there's great momentum on the technology side here. And fourth, I just think that there are some great success stories of companies being set up here, becoming international scale. I can look out my window and see the new office for Shopify. So there's lots of great success stories here. And I think if you combine that together, it's a great story. The second piece to that is just It's the overall fundamentals that make a city attractive from a quality of life perspective.
Hmm.
And you would know this from a lot of your work in terms of like what makes a city appealing to somebody that might want to move here or stay here when they graduate, or come here to study.
Yeah.
Right? And is the city vibrant? Are there going to be job opportunities for me? You know, can I afford to live there? What
Hmm.
about affordable housing? What about childcare? What about transportation? What about broadband? I mean, I've just listed, 4 or 5 things that are really critical to the future of the city.
Right. Actually, I've had conversations with Ken Greenberg, who's a well-known architect, and he's one of the innovators. So he's one of the innovators behind the Bentway. The use of this, what used to be the ugliest space under the Gardner, and is now this beautiful cathedral-like space and a really, really innovative space. And he also was involved in the High Line, and he talks about the High Line in New York, the High Line Park, and he talks about the attractiveness of that, and the importance of having an attractive city and a vibrant city, and like in order to attract people and to keep that momentum going for our industry. And would you agree? Like, is that something
Yeah.
that you hear?
Young students are coming here and they want to stay when they're in their 20s. A lot of them want to be downtown. It's a great arts and cultural scene here in Toronto.
Yeah.
Great opportunity, great jobs. But at some point, you may want to look for greener space. You might want a bigger house, and you might want to move outside the city. So if you don't have broadband and you don't have transportation that works,
Mhm.
it's a struggle.
Right. So I'm hearing two things there, and both of them I've heard consistently from other tech industry people that I've talked to. One is one of the challenges right now, one of our competitive disadvantages is the cost of housing and the rapidly rising cost of housing. And the other one is like broadband in rural and remote communities in Ontario. Like, so you're sort of echoing what I've heard from other people as
Yeah,
well.
no question.
Look, I've got one more question I want to ask you. I grew up in Oshawa, and everybody in my family, 5 generations back, worked at General Motors. And the thing that
Yeah.
always frustrated me, I know my great grandfather was building
No.
horse carriages before they started building cars.
Yeah.
But the thing that always frustrated me about the Canadian manufacturing scene is we never had a Canadian automaker except for Bricklin, very briefly in New Brunswick. So how do we create, like, I don't want us to be through the 21st century, I don't want us just to be a branch plant of the technology giants, American technology giants. How do we build our own Canadian based technology giants?
Yeah, another good question. Again, I think we're seeing that in some of the companies, the Shopify's of the world.
Mhm.
There's many elements to go into that. You know, funding, and we talked about that earlier, how that's getting much better. Risk taking. We're certainly not anywhere near the Americans, but I think we're getting better. Really skilled management talent has been a challenge in Canada. I think we're getting better on that front. I mean, we already are a world center. I mean, just look at where we were
Yeah.
before the pandemic. Toronto
Yeah.
was firing in all cylinders. We just need to get back to where we were and be, front and center and being a world leading center.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much for your time today. It's a real pleasure to talk with you, and it's great to hear about your experiences both in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. And I'm so glad that you're here in Toronto now. Attracting tech industries to
Yeah, no, it's
Toronto.
exciting. I'm really thrilled to be here. It's an exciting time to be here.
Yeah.
There's lots of opportunities. So, Chris, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay. You have a great day.
All right.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow me on social media, and we'll see you next week for more Tech Talks.